Hello, my name is Mason Mitchell. I am a junior. This is my project on Helix DNA. I've run 60 hours in this project right now. My driving question is how do we use tissue samples to find our DNA? And my sustainability focus is how is testing humans' DNA changed in our society? So my first question was, what is DNA testing over there? So know what DNA testing involves. Everyone's DNA tells a lot about who we are. And think about it in a video game and find like a puzzle games. We are the same when it comes to our DNA. It's called finding a function like running, jumping, all that. And when finding a DNA function, it exposes us to our genetic code. Many DNA companies will ask you for permission directly on the website when you're getting a DNA test. So that way when they get their information back, they can keep that and then try to find patterns and things that will go in your family and around the world. Understand the structure of DNA. DNA is like a code. Each order and combination provides codes and instructions for a new material. So parts of our DNA convert from the amino acids into proteins. Having proteins gives us new cells, so we get amino acids to proteins, proteins to cells, and cells to tissues, and organs gives us the ability to be human. Understanding the types. When looking, there are 3 types of autosomal DNA tests, like Y-DNA and mtDNA. The autosomal test is the most common. They're for both men and women, and the Y-DNA is for men, and the mtDNA is for women. DNA tests can reveal health information, so like if cancer runs in your family, it'll tell you that right directly on there. Moving on to my second question, what cells are used to test our DNA? DNA fingerprints are made of cells called mini satellites. Genetic research, DNA fingerprints can find genetic disorders. Once in 1984, a British geneticist found many satellites in our genes, but they do not contribute to our DNA. They're just involved. Genetic forensics. At crime scenes, you can use DNA to find things like samples, which are anything from blood, saliva, skin, urine, and hair, along other things. They can use this and bring it to their labs to find out who our victims are. Moving on to my third question, what ways do scientists use DNA after testing? So I didn't find a whole lot on this, but again, it's just kind of doing what they're finding the patterns and things like that found in the US, what are familiar, like family running, or like locally areas like Wisconsin, like how those patterns run in specific areas. And yeah. Moving on to my fourth question, how do scientists find our history within our DNA? So in our genomes, we have traces of ancient human and generations. Knowing what we know and learning what we've evolved as humans, some scientists divide between exotic or theoretical research. In 2010, we gained access to a sequencing machine that can detect how many sequences are in our genome, the structure of our DNA. When DNA repeats itself, so like a father and a mother, when they have a children, they repeat themselves. They're almost similarly to what their parents are. So, it's copied with little error. A double helix is made of a unit called nucleotides, which forms an image like a ladder, and each unit are their phosphate, sugar, and the base. The phosphate and sugar make the sides of the ladder, while the base makes the rung. Certain bases are together like adenine, thymine, as well as guanine and cytosine. How does DNA produce proteins? So DNA has the power to give us proteins to our body, which is what we need to structure our bones in our body, as well as the tissues in our body. What is a gene? A gene is simply what gives us our traits, so things like eye color, or toe length, hair color, all those things we have as human, and it makes us what we are. So, thanks for watching. Any questions?